Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. As you know, the Minnesota Vikings are trying to make their playoff push right now. And think about the biggest key, biggest X factor, and it is so easily the offensive line. Coming off probably the best performance I've seen in a couple years last night against the Steelers. The Steelers were they're a physical team. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt obviously left midway through the game. But the Vikings offensive line was fantastic yesterday. 0 sacks allowed, ran for 250 yards. I mean, if you had to put on a clinic to show film on an offensive line, like if you need to get like some great film on how to run the outside zone running scheme, you go to that first half. Vikings Steelers, the holes were huge. Aikman was saying on the broadcast, he was saying, I could run through those. Anybody could run through those holes. And you know what? It's true. They were probably the best player or best group in the game last night was the Vikings O-line. And even with Kirk Cousins having an off game, the Vikings are still able to put up a ton of points because of the run game, because of the O-line. And just shout out to them. And they are the biggest X factor for the Minnesota Vikings getting to this playoff push that they're kind of on right now. And if we're looking at the Vikings, the schedule they have coming up, the Chicago Bears, you're going to get a physical team. I don't care if Akeem Hicks isn't there. I don't care if Khalil Mack isn't there. This is going to be a physical game. It's the Vikings. It's versus the Bears. It's going to be on a Monday night as well. And the offensive line, they're going to need to play good again. And they have the talent too, especially once Darrisaw gets back. I thought as much crap as I give the interior of the offensive line, Bradbury and Ezra Cleveland, Ezra's been great the past couple of weeks. He's been absolutely playing out of his mind. Actually, the best stretch of football of his career. But Garrett Bradbury, I'll give him credit. Thursday against the Steelers, he was really good. He was fine. He was everything you want out of a center. He was moving around, pulling great, getting up to the second level. He was getting physical with the Steelers interior line. And when he did get beat, he didn't get beat as bad as the thing is with Bradbury, when he gets beat, it is so blatant that it like completely interrupts the play. But last night when he got beat, he was able to recover fast, and he was very good yesterday. And obviously with the schedule that we have following right after the Bears game, which will be a physical game for the offensive line, then you have to go deal with Aaron Donald and Von Miller at home. And then right after that, you got Za'Darius Smith most likely back, and the Preston Smith. You got the Smith bros, and then you're right back to the Bears for the last week. So you got to establish some sort of identity. And that's why I think the offensive line is going to be huge, because the Vikings running game overall this season has not been that good. We have not really had a consistent stretch where we are really running the ball well. But what I love that they did yesterday versus the Steelers, bringing in the 6 offensive linemen with CJ Ham, with Conklin. You know what? I understand it drives us crazy, and it drives me crazy when they come out in this heavy personnel thinking they can run the ball, and then they just don't. But when they actually do it, the whole offense opens up. Kirk had a bad game yesterday, and they still put up 36 points. Kirk's throw to KJ Osborne when he took the top off of the defense in the fourth quarter, that was all because of the offensive line. Setting that up throughout the game, and yes, that was a great throw by Kirk, great catch by KJ. That's just a team effort right there. But that was being set up the entire game by the offensive line. The entire game. And that's what I love to see, because that was the first time the offense felt really, complimentary. Like the offensive line helping Dalvin Cook. The running game helping the pass game. And it all on top of that, our quarterback didn't really have a good game. If Kirk makes a couple more throws in this game, like we know he can, that's why I'm not really too concerned. Let's just say the offensive line, they don't show up. They have a couple games down the stretch where they get beaten by Za'Darius Smith, Aaron Donald, Von Miller. If we've looked, as the video I've posted, I think probably yesterday, depending on when I do, the Vikings can't really afford to slip up more than once. And even if they do slip up once, it's very hard to make the playoffs. It is extremely challenging. So if the offensive line just has a game where they let Von Miller, Aaron Donald wreck that Rams game, we're most likely done for the year. Mike Zimmer's getting fired, and it's a complete rebuild. So the offensive line, they have a lot on their plate coming down the stretch. And listen, I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say, it should be easy, flip the switch, okay, we'll go dominate. But if they are able to do that, this offense will become super explosive. It will help out the defense a ton. Having an offensive line in November, December football, and in playoff football, that's like having a good bullpen in the MLB in October, in November, in the playoffs. I mean, it is just such a key because you can rely on them. Like an offensive line, like, yeah, you can scheme, shoot the gap on certain run plays. Like there's certain stuff you can do as a D coordinator to combat a good offensive line. But even we've seen this year, Vikings fans, obviously our run D is not that good, but when a good offensive line gets going, there's not much you can do. It's more of a physical thing, and I think the Vikings can do that, especially when Darisaw comes back. They can be a very physical O-line. Shout out to the Gardening Gnomes, that's what we call them, the Bradberries, the Mason Coles. Ezra's obviously a big dude, but they were out moving. They were really exploiting the Steelers' run D, and you know what? They ran outside zone great, but they're my biggest X factor for the rest of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. O-line, you got to get physical in December football and January football. Let me know what you guys think down below. Skol Vikes.